I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to April 1st. This is an April Fool's Day, but here we are. It's County Commission, Shawnee County. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair, representing District 2 as well. Joining me today is Commissioner Bill Rippon, representing District 1. Good morning.
Good morning.
Commissioner Aaron Mays, representing District 3. Good morning.
Morning.
Madam Clerk, our first item.
First item is item 2, unfinished business. Review of health order and resolution number 2021-20, adopting in part emergency order of our local health officer.
Commissioners, when we met on Monday, we had held this item over for further discussion today. This relates specifically as to any rules or regulations that we might have as to Shawnee County facilities or properties, and whether or not we would have any sort of masks or gathering requirements in regards to those facilities. And having had an opportunity to kind of review it and reflect on it and meet with the county counselor, is there any discussion from the commission?
Yes.
Commissioner Mays?
I think after talking with some department heads and county counselor, I think the best course of action is to continue the mask mandate for the health department and the jail and make it an opt-out for other departments.
Okay. So,
And then all of the other regulations concerning gathering sizes and things like that would become recommendations as well.
okay. In turning to the county counselor, one question that I do have is if the county was to make it a recommendation on any other facility except for the Shawnee County Department of Corrections and the Shawnee County Health Department, what would the impact of that resolution be towards the courts who are a primary tenant of this facility?
Jim Krause, Shawnee County Counselor. That would remove the requirement for the building. However, the courts could consider an administrative order related to court operations that would apply to users of the courts, and that would be within their purview.
And I see LaDon Welch present as court administrator.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lee Welch, Court Administrator, 3rd Judicial District. The courts are bound by Supreme Court Administrative Order 123, which requires social distancing and mask wearing at all times. So regardless of what the county chooses to do for the courthouse, the courts are still required and will continue to require masks in any court environment, whether that's court services in the basement level, the first floor. Actually, we have offices on every floor of the building. So it'll be back to that same issue we had when the courts reopened in June and the county we had that distinct separation between mask wearing and non-mask wearing. So my information from the Office of Judicial Administration is that those mitigation factors are not going to change anytime soon.
So applying your statement, if a person is coming into the courthouse, they may not be required to wear a mask to enter the courthouse, but when they come to the first floor court service, they would need to put on a mask before they enter the court services office.
Correct.
And if a person is not required to wear a mask riding up on the elevator, before they exit the elevator on the 3rd floor or 4th floor, they would need to wear a mask there.
Correct.
And they may not be required to wear a mask in the hallway of the 2nd floor, but they would have to wear one before they enter the court district attorney's office or the court clerk's office.
Yes.
Okay. So just kind of walking through and would there be signs posted letting people know where they would need to have those masks?
We have signs posted on every court door at the present time, and we can either revisit those signs or, I'm looking at some stand-up signs for the hallway because people aren't looking at the walls anymore. There's so many signs that say so many different things. They're just not paying attention to those. So we're looking at actually some three-dimensional signs that would stand in the hallways that would tell people they're required to wear masks.
And then, Jim, presently, we have a person who is taking temperature and asking some questions as people enter the facility. Would we still have that person if we are a recommendation only?
Yeah, this would not change that contract presently. It's an ongoing contract.
Okay. And then, are there any questions for Ms. Welch?
No.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And now, Jim, as it relates to the Shawnee County Event Center, the Stormont Vale Event Center, we have a contract with Spectra, and Spectra has their own national rules or regulations. How would that impact us?
Well, I'll defer to, this is Jim Crowell, I'll defer to Kellen on what his stated desire would be with regard to those rules. Obviously, he's going to follow whatever rules we give him, but I'll let him express his opinion on how that would interplay with his corporate partner.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners. Kellen Seitz, Spectra Venue Management in the Stormont Vale Event Center. So we take the county health order and recommendations and apply that to any of our physical property for the events and patrons of our facilities. And those patrons include event producers and promoters. So in the event that the mask mandate and health requirements become recommendations, they would be just that for patrons and event producers and promoters. However, for our staff, we will continue to operate under our Spectra reopening guideline plan, which is a corporate plan that still requires our staff in the facilities to wear masks, do daily temperature screenings, encourage frequent hand washing and hand sanitization. But for the general public, they would not be required to wear a mask or go through any of the COVID mitigation practices at that time.
Kellen, walk through with me again, just for the members watching and the public, as well as anybody else in the room. If the Stormont Vale Event Spectra was to enter into an agreement with Darius Rucker that he would come to the Stormont Vale Event Center on April the 15th for a great concert with Darius Rucker at the Stormont Vale Event Center, that's a hint, in the spirit of Bob Archer. But what regulations are you going to apply to that sort of a venue?
Sure. It's kind of a tricky question. There's two scenarios. If we go out and acquire that event, if we are at risk financially for that event, we set the mitigation practices and or the regulations for those types of events. If that event is a rental and they are renting the space, they have some control over the autonomy of what regulations they want to put in place. So it's a little bit of a balanced approach for things like the emergency services agreement, like we talked on Monday. The emergency services agreement allows Stormont Vale Health to set out their own guidelines and principles and what they want to do with that space. It's my understanding that they will continue to require mask use during the vaccination clinic, as well as do their COVID check-in procedures and any mitigation strategies at that point.
I might note, we don't have Darius Rucker booked for April the 15th, but that would be a great concert.
We're working on a few other things, so just hang tight.
Any questions for Kellen?
No.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then, Jim, finally, we have a separate agreement regarding Maynard Conference Center. Would that same rules apply then?
Exactly, it would be the same scenario. I mean, typically we have, what I mean is typically the hotel will determine, they're managing that facility, so they're gonna manage that within their own corporate policies at that point. We wouldn't have any policies on top of it for that facility.
Final question before I open it up to the commissioners again. Jim, as it relates to our Shawnee County Parks and Recreation, if currently we have a rule that it's no more than 500 indoors, 1,000 outdoors for a gathering size, if we go to a recommendation only, and if Shawnee County Parks and Rec was to host an event or put on an event at Lake Shawnee that would attract, Huff and Puff attracted 10,000 people. Things like the Tales on the Trails previously attracted 5,000 people. Would that then be just a recommendation to the Parks and Rec as to how many people they would host at the event or limit at the event, or would there be no requirements?
Well, it'd be a recommendation, there would be no requirements, but I did talk to Tim Laurent, I don't know if he's here. Basically, what he indicated to me is all of the events they have scheduled so far in the immediate future would fit within the current guidelines anyway. So whether, his conclusion to me was whether we kept the requirements or just made them recommendations, it's really not going to affect their operations anyway, based upon what they have scheduled.
Based on those questions, are there any questions for the county counselor?
None.
Okay. There's been a motion made by Commissioner Mays to amend the current Resolution 2021-20 that the Shawnee County Department of Corrections would still be a mask mandated facility, and the Shawnee County Health Department would continue to be a mask mandated facility, in that the gathering sizes and health order would still apply to those facilities. However, to all other county-owned facilities, there would not be a mask mandate, nor would there be a requirement regarding gathering sizes. The mask mandate and gathering sizes would be a recommendation only. Does that correctly reflect your motion, Commissioner Mays?
Sort of.
Okay.
So the gathering sizes and things, I don't think necessarily need to apply to the jail or the health department. They're not doing over 1,000 people at the health department. I think it just overcomplicates it to do
Okay.
that. So I mean, it's really, the only piece I'm thinking is the masks, and then everything else becomes a recommendation.
Okay.
Okay, I will second that.
All right.
What he just said.
At this time, before we vote, are there any members of the public or department heads that wish to address the commission on this item?
Good morning, Commissioners. Teresa Fisher, Interim Director with the Health Department. I am advocating for the mask mandate to remain in effect for the Shawnee County Health Department. There are several reasons, but a couple I would point out is we are still doing our mobile vaccine clinics. And so with those individuals coming in, they of course are not vaccinated. So they're a vulnerable population that would be putting both our staff and our volunteers at risk. I do want to advocate for the staff, but also the volunteers. We are dependent upon volunteers to staff these clinics, and I want to make sure that our work environment is one that we can provide for them to feel safe in that environment, and I believe that keeping the mask mandate will help fulfill that. So, thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. I know I've removed my mask, but I am going to say that I appreciate this avenue of doing that. I will be the first person to tell you, jails are not built for pandemics, that while a lot of jails and correction facilities have been listed as clusters, and we have too, and they remain at a very high percentage rate of positivity, I truly believe and support that masks have helped us at the jail. We've been down on the lows as a 7 or 8%, and I believe it is because of the mask and the strict protocols that we have. I will tell you that we are starting to allow and start working with our volunteers to come back in under restricted stuff. We have put a great deal of infrastructure renovations to allow more courts and stuff to go on, but we are starting to allow religious and more volunteers to come in. So we are starting to move with, as we see the numbers and stuff like this. But the physical plan of the jail, the lack of number of people that have volunteered for vaccines, and I will tell you that we have almost 80 to 100 inmates that want vaccines. We're going to be working with the health department regarding that, and staff. We're going to continue to do what we need to do to get past this pandemic. I mean, we're all tired of it, but this is the right move for us to be able to stay within the mask. I mean, we have to for still yet to come. So Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Any other public comment?
Yes, thank you very much, Kathy Hopak. I just have a question about that. Why is it that the jail and the health department have to have a mandate? Can't they make this decision on their own to continue to do that? It is the same thing that you're saying to the businesses. This is your choice. Why do they have to have you guys or a mandate to tell them what they believe they should do? I'm not understanding that.
Jim Crowell, County Councilor, would you be willing to weigh in why it would be to the advantage of Shawnee County to have a mandate as opposed to a recommendation from the County Commission regarding certain facilities?
I think part of it is a policy issue. I think it does put us in a stronger position legally to do that. And I'm not concerned about defending lawsuits from individuals who claim that they're aggrieved either from the jail or who are trying to access services in the health department. I think those are defendable and reasonable places to keep this in place. I think as a policy matter, it's probably better for that policy to come from the Board of County Commissioners than leaving it just up to the department heads in their respective departments.
Okay. Any further discussion? There's been a motion made by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Motion passes 2-1. Commissioner Cook dissenting. Our next item.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Commissioners, there are a number of items, A through H, on the consent agenda this morning. Are there any questions, or is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, reflect that it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 4, the business. Item A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Commissioners, today we have vouchers totaling $1,412,227.63. Couple highlights on that: under building and maintenance for JP Construction for $22,700. That's for the deck at the Garden House at Lake Shawnee. Under general expense, we've got Evergreen Solutions for $14,355. That is for the compensation study. And then also the interstate elevator, $212,968.80. That's for the final payment for the courthouse elevator modernization. So hopefully that's the last we hear about the courthouse elevator, and I would move for approval.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays,
Second.
second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, reflect that it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, reflect that it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B, solid waste number 1, consider approval of request to award bid to Elliott Equipment for the purchase of a container delivery truck in the amount of $111,195, utilizing the solid waste fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Sutton, Shawnee County Solid Waste. Last month or so, I came before the Commission requesting to go out for quotation for a container delivery truck. This was a change from my 5-year capital improvement plan because I had a roll-off truck scheduled, but asked permission to switch those out. We got the bids back. Two vendors submitted a total of 4 bids. And it is our opinion that the best and most responsive bid was for Elliott Equipment with the total purchase price of $111,195. This will come from our solid waste budget, and which is 100% user fee funded, no taxpayer dollars used. Stand by for your questions, gentlemen.
Questions for Bill regarding this purchase?
I have none. I would move for approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Rippon,
Second.
second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, reflect that it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B2, consider approval of request to award bid to Truck Component Center for the purchase of 4 rear-load trash trucks in the amount of $453,556, including trade-in allowance utilizing the solid waste fund.
Bill Sutton, Shawnee County Solid Waste. Along the same lines, for part of our 5-year capital improvement plan, this year we requested 4 rear-load trash trucks. Those are typically the orange trucks that everybody sees going up and down the roads. 2 vendors submitted a total of 4 bids. You can see those bids on the attachment. The best and most responsive bid, in our opinion, is also the low bidder for this. That would be TSC, or Truck Component Center, at $453,000, $556 with our trade-in allowances. And this will be coming from our operational budget, which is 100% user fee funded with no tax dollars used. Subject to your questions, gentlemen.
Questions for Bill regarding this item? Commissioner Mays.
Yeah, Bill, do these trucks come upfitted, or do we have to paint them? Do we have to put more equipment on them?
It's all in the bid specs that we submit to them, so we specify what we want of these trucks, which includes the color paint. So pretty much they get here, we slap some decals on them, license plate, and they're ready to go.
Okay, great, thank you.
Other questions?
Chair, what's the longevity of one of these trucks?
These trucks, as you're probably aware, they have a rough service life just because they're starting, stopping, crawling in and out of these alleys. Once they hit that 5-year mark, that's when the trade-in allowance really starts to fall off. So that's why we instituted this 5-year trade-in program, as well as the 5-year mark is what our emissions warranty is for all the emission components on the vehicle. Those emission repairs are very costly, and if it occurs within that 5-year window, we can get it under warranty, whereas if it's outside that 5-year window, then we have to pay for it out of pocket, and those could easily exceed tens of thousands of dollars for that vehicle.
Bill, the only question that I had, I mean, we have 3 different vehicles, chassis that we're looking at, but the compactor, 3 of the bids have one compactor. The bid that we're looking at has a different type of compactor. Is there a issue, or are there any concerns with having this compactor since the other 3 bids have the other compactor?
That is a very good eye there, sir. We have about 23, 24 rear-load trucks in our fleet right now, and we have, I think it's 3 different compactor bodies. So, and we already have this body style, so it's not going to be a change.
Okay.
Or anything.
That was just the one thing that caught my eye, is the 3 of the bids have one type of compactor, and the bid that we're looking at has the other type of compactor. So, all right. Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I commend you for catching that, though. It is also $70,000 less than the next closest bid, too, so.
I was waiting for the April Fool's thing.
No.
I would second.
Motion made by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Our next item.
Item C, Election Office Number 1, consider approval of request to solicit bids for election equipment delivery services for the 2021 through 2024 election cycle.
Good morning, Commissioners. Andrew Howell, Shawnee County Election Office. We would like permission to go ahead and put bids together for the delivery of the election equipment. You know, every year we do at least 2 elections, primary and general election, and those pieces of equipment have to be delivered to each of the almost 100 polling places across the county. So we try to bid that out. Our current bid has already come and gone for the last, I believe, couple of years that we've used. So it's time to bid that out again. If you have any questions on that, I'd be happy to try to answer those.
Any questions for Andrew regarding the delivery of the equipment?
Have none.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item C2, consider approval of request to solicit bids for election ballot printing services for the 2021 through 2024 election cycle.
Andrew Howell, Shawnee County Election Commissioner. Again, what we're attempting to do here, we have a little over 400 different ballot styles that are used in some of these elections and a little bit less than others. But again, we need twice a year to have the ability to have those ballots printed. We find that most of the time, especially in a major election, it's actually cheaper to have them printed by another company. But the specs are pretty complex, so we need to get that out there. We need to get some bids in because we do have, expect at least the potential for a primary in August of this year. And we'll need to have those ready to go 3 months prior to that, so we're getting fairly close. If you've got any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer those. Just so you know, we have had these reviewed by the county counselor as well as Betty.
Andrew, this is considered our off year, quote unquote, for elections. We do not have a presidential, we don't have any congressional or Senate, we do not have any statewide offices. Typically, this election consists of townships, school boards, or the city mayoral race or city council race. So are there anything that we're expecting to be unusual at this time? I mean, I know that April's a little bit premature, but is there anything unexpected or that you have on the radar?
Probably the one thing that occurs every 4 years that doesn't get a lot of conversation is the fact that we have drainage districts, Shunganunga, I think there's 3 or 4 others that we have, and about 25 different polling places, and those are technically a separate election run under separate rules. So it's a little more complex in that regard. Every 4 years we have those elections that occur. So there's going to be a little bit of additional work getting prepared for those. We'll use the same polling locations, but technically they're a separate election with a separate set of people involved. So there's that. And additionally, it's really hard to project for the primary because it takes 4 candidates to cause the primary to occur for the mayor's race or for city council. So I would expect that we might have a primary election in parts of the city, or if we have school board races where 4 people actually run in the primary, then we could see that elsewhere. But typically it doesn't run county-wide. Because we don't usually have that many people file for each of those typically school board races out in the county. But those are kind of the complexities. Additionally, of course, we're doing a lot of work in the office. As you know, I think we ended up with a number of retirements last year. So there's a lot of internal training, catching up from things that we just couldn't do during presidential election. So there's still quite a bit going on in the office. But those are probably just training, hiring new people, getting kind of back into managing some of the day-to-day details a little more effectively just due to the nature of the pandemic and running the election, catching up on that, and then getting ready for that, for the election later this year as it relates to those drainage district elections.
But at this point, you're not seeing anything from the legislature regarding any constitutional amendments or any statewide ballot issues?
Not for this year. We haven't. And there's always the potential, I guess, for someone later in the year to request a mail ballot election. But I haven't seen anything yet.
Okay. Any questions for Andrew?
Yeah, Andrew, I see this is a 4-year contract that we're soliciting. So I know that other communities, there are some that have gone to more of an on-demand ballot printing. Is that something that you envision us ever moving to? And if so, would doing this for 4 years inhibit your ability to do such things?
I think that we will encourage anybody who's a bidder to consider leaving some flexibility in the way they build those numbers out. I think that's important. If you see a significant cost variance, maybe in paper, or significant cost variance in gasoline or fuel or diesel, I will encourage bidders to at least give themselves a little bit of flexibility in those areas. So I think that's probably something we'll look at going forward, but I think we've got enough ability to address those things in here to be okay at least for the next 4 years.
Okay, appreciate that.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Reflect that it passes 3-0. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks.
Our next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
This is an opportunity for any department head or member of the public to address the commission on any item.
Hey, good morning, Commissioners. Bill Sutton, Shawnee County Solid Waste. I have 3 announcements today. Hopefully I remember them all. Start off with the easy one first. I'd like to introduce the commission to my new deputy director. His name's Steve Colomb. I came on board this week, and I am definitely happy to have him on board.
Great. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, sir.
You want to tell us a little bit about yourself and where you come from?
I have a long line of experience in line haul, distribution, and operations, and also a little bit in Medicaid, and happy to join this team and share what I've learned and help us become even more profitable.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, sit down. All right, second item, I'm happy to announce that the First Congregational Church down there at 17th and Collins came on board with the glass recycling program, and we was able to put one of our purple glass containers there. I believe the official address is 1701 Southwest Collins Street. It's in their parking lot. I would ask that if anybody does use it, that they obviously, clean up after themselves and try not to make a mess in that parking lot, since the church so graciously allowed us to do that. And then lastly, this will be the first Saturday of the month out there at Household Hazardous Waste. So it is our Saturday collection event. So from 9 until noon this Saturday is open for all residents to drop off their household hazardous waste, along with any other electronic waste that they might have. And it's all free for all the residents. The only exception is the cathode ray tubes, those big TVs, and there is a fee associated with those. No paint sales this Saturday, just to eliminate any of the clutter and confusion out there. The physical address is 131 Northeast 46th Street, and for more information, they can always call 286-4381. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Bill. Any other administrative communications this morning? Commissioner Rippon.
I volunteered yesterday to help out with setting up tulips at twilight at Old Prairie Town. It was good to get outside and had pretty decent weather. It's nice. So, but it's a good event. It's coming up soon, and I'm sure we'll hear more about it from Parks and Rec as we get a little closer.
Very good. Commissioner Mays.
Can't wait. I think that's exciting. Nothing from me, though.
I had one other.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
I got so excited about tulips at twilight.
I understand. I've been working a little on a new trail, and this would take advantage of the dike system, or levee system. It would go from roughly where the Great Overland Station is out to the new weir, or not the new weir, but the enhanced weir. And I've been working with Wildlife and Parks. I've been working with the city of Topeka. Trying to think who else, but anyway, there's a large group of it. It's a subcommittee of the River Authority, and we're getting close to establishing a trail up there. We'll probably be coming before this board probably in the next month or so, with a memorandum of understanding defining who would be responsible for maintenance and who would be responsible for upkeep and benches, signs, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to let everybody know that we're working on this trail right now, and we're looking forward to getting that up and running.
Very good. Thank you for your work on that.
Thank you.
Nothing else? I don't have anything else. So, April Fool's Day, if you do play on a prank, make sure it's safe and everybody can enjoy it. Our next item.
Item 6, executive session.
There's no need for an executive session today. We are adjourned. How